Over this past winter holiday, I had the chance to read the new book from Catherine Eden, $2 a Day in Poverty in America. It's a sobering read to recognize that the standard for global poverty is a reality here in America. The book doesn't look specifically at New Jersey, but it does make a strong case for how much cash welfare policy has been the driver of the rise in extreme child poverty in our nation. And the report that we're here to talk about today makes it very clear that this same story holds true in New Jersey. This important new data and analysis from New Jersey policy perspective makes clear how much state policy is responsible for unraveling the safety net that we provide to the neediest children in our state. An ever-increasing volume of research tells us just how harmful poverty really is for children, not just in the moment of deprivation, but throughout their lives. Today, we have the chance to think about how we can collectively do a better job of responding to the poverty that is stealing the futures of thousands, hundreds of thousands of New Jersey's children. I'm so proud today that standing behind me, we have so many strong legislative champions who are here to express their commitment to strengthening our state's response to child poverty. This is the kind of leadership that we need to change the story for New Jersey's poorest children. So I'm going to stop talking and give them a chance to talk and share their response to this report.
You know, we have a problem. And a couple of weeks ago, and before that, when I got sworn in my speech, I talked about it, that this was going to be a focal point of this legislative session, which I think it's so important to be able to do something. And when you take in a livable wage, as we know, that in the state of New Jersey, it's very expensive, housing is very expensive, so it's not apple to apples when you talk about what people, make in other states or what the federal line is. So it's very different in the state of New Jersey. And when you have 800,000 children living in poverty, and when you talk about TANF, that these assistance to working families has been stagnant for 29 years. It's unacceptable. When you look at what Human Services says that it should be 700% more today, it's not acceptable. We need to do better. When other states around us are actually doing a better job than we are, we have to get better. New York has raised its limits since 2000, I believe, 3 times. We need to do better. So there is a suggestion of maybe 30% phased over 3 years. I think that's legislation that we need to work on and shepherd that as part of the initiative that I'm looking at the 4 committees that sat down and heard from the experts of how we can help the residents of the state of New Jersey and build them up from where they are to the middle class. We need to rebuild our middle class, and that's what's going to make New Jersey successful. So I am happy to partner up with the advocates and give us the support, that we need to make this a reality to get everybody out of poverty. So thank you so much, and thank you.
I just want to echo what my colleagues have said. Every year they do the survey of the wealthiest states in the nation, and for the past several years, New Jersey's been in the top 5 of the wealthiest states. And yet every night, according to this report, which was devastating in its findings, over 300,000 children go to bed hungry if they have a bed even to go home to. And over roughly half that number are in deep poverty, which means for a family of 3 living off of $10,000 a year. So we have roughly 150,000 children whose parents are trying to get by on $10,000 a year. Our most basic, I believe, governmental duty is to ensure the well-being of our citizens and protect them. If we fail in this is a lifetime sentence, as Senator Vitale mentioned. The long-term effects on children are irretrievable. I mean, in terms of health, in terms of education, we struggle in a city today, our host city, Trenton, with 30% of our third graders reading at grade level proficiency right now. The long-term effects of this are absolutely devastating, and if we can't reverse this, it would cost roughly $15 million over the next 3 years, as the Speaker said, of additional money in the budget to try and bring us up to a standard where we can help these children. If we can't do that, I think as a government we have failed in our duty. So I want to thank the organizations here today for bringing this to light. I hope these statistics get published. And I want to thank the Speaker for making this a priority this year. And I'd also like to thank him for putting me on the Budget Committee so I can help do something about it. So thank you very much.
New Jersey has an incredible opportunity to protect children, reduce racial and income disparities, and reduce poverty. All these problems have gotten worse in our state, in part because it has not provided a cost of living increase in TANF for nearly 3 decades. That means a family of 3 only receives $424 a month, which was the same amount they received 29 years ago. Also, many children do not receive any assistance at all because of the New Jersey's cap on family size. Instead of investing in children, New Jersey has been abandoning them. Due to inflation, the purchasing power of this assistance has been reduced by over half. Since eligibility is based on this assistance, far fewer children are eligible for any help. Whereas in the past, most poor children received help from TANF, today, 8 out of 10 children not receive any assistance. That's 250,000 children who live in poverty who do not get any help from TANF. Unless something is done soon, TANF will cease to be a viable safety net in our state. By any standard, the TANF assistance is far too low. It has gone from 61% of the poverty level in 1981 to 25% today. We also know this greatly underestimates the problem because the federal poverty level is not adjusted for the cost of living in New Jersey. For this reason, the legislature required that the Department of Human Services establish a standard of need that takes into account the real needs, including the cost of living, of housing. A lot of people don't realize it, but we actually have our own poverty level in our state. That standard is $2,700 for a family of 3, 7 times what the current TANF level is. As a result of this neglect of children, New Jersey now has the lowest benefit by far in the Northeast and the 10th lowest in the nation when the cost of living is considered. New Jersey is even ranked lower than in many states that are much poorer, such as West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Kentucky. And there's a graph here that shows all of these different states that have a higher benefit level than our state. This unprecedented reduction in assistance has also made TANF totally unresponsive to real needs in our state. While there has been a major increase in unemployment and child poverty, the TANF enrollment rate has actually gone down exactly what you would expect. And you can see this graph here. This is the child poverty rate. You can see how it has escalated. And while it was going up, New Jersey's level had pretty much remained the same, and it's actually gone down. So the child poverty has gone up 34%. The TANF enrollment has gone down 14%. State funding for this program has gone down from $500 million in 1997 a year to a little over $100 million a year today. That's a $400 million reduction every year, which only increases extreme child poverty in our state and also hurts local economies. We are recommending that TANF assistance be increased by 30% over 3 years, as was done in New York. We ask that this increase be tied to the state standard of need so that we will receive an automatic cost of living each year. We also propose that we stop punishing children for being born and eliminate the family cap. There is reason to be optimistic that something could be done about this alarming problem. As a result of the newest research, which shows that the profound impact that poverty has on a child's development, states are starting to increase the TANF assistance. They know that they can pay now or pay much more later. In New Jersey, we estimate that child poverty costs $13 billion every year in our state. Last year alone, 9 states increased their TANF levels. Since 2000, all Northeast states increased their grant except Rhode Island and New Jersey, and Rhode Island had a benefit level that is much higher than our states. During that time, New York increased their assistance by 30% over 3 years. This is their level is almost twice New Jersey's. In addition, I'm optimistic because we have the Speaker Prieto's priority of poverty. We have Senator Vitale here, who, if he can do to child poverty what he's done to create almost universal health insurance, we're going to be able to solve this problem. I think that together we're going to be able to address this issue. I should say, some of you know I've worked in the Department of Human Services for over 30 years, so I've worked on this issue for that long, and never during that time have we gotten leaders from both the Assembly and the Senate jointly in support of this issue. So I think there's some hope for these children this year. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Seth Hahn. I'm with CWA. We represent workers who actually do the eligibility work and the determinations about this work for clients in, I believe, 13 counties. It's several thousand workers who do this. And as Ray was saying, since 2007, we've had an economic downturn. We've had a Medicaid expansion. The caseloads at the boards of social services have more than doubled in that time, and we have fewer workers today doing the work than is actually being done. So on top of all these problems, where there's this huge need, we have people coming in who are desperate. They need to feed their kids. They need to take their kids to the doctor. And there's lines around the buildings at the boards of social services. They cause traffic problems. And then the clients get into the building and their very real needs are not being met. And so our workers feel this every day. They're on the front lines. They understand exactly how frustrated people are. And the other thing that our workers know is that this is not an acute problem in one county or another county. It's Essex County, one of the most overburdened boards of social services anywhere in the state is Ocean County, so it's not a Democrat or Republican issue. And this is really a statewide problem that needs to be tackled in a comprehensive way. So we thank our legislators in the state legislature for understanding that this is something we need a statewide solution here, not just a sort of a piecemeal. The other thing I would say is that the administration recently went through and over several years spent more than $110 million on a software program to deal with some of these eligibility issues. And now we recently found out that that software isn't even going to be released. It's not even going to work, right? So for anyone to say that we don't have a few $1 million a year to do exactly this type of work, it's not true. This would make a huge benefit in people's lives, and people desperately need it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Serena. I think these stats are staggering. I am most shocked when reading the report, this idea that since 1996, annual funding for TANF has dropped by $358 million, resulting in a total of $5.6 billion in assistance, not adjusting for inflation, that New Jersey families have not received to help their children. I want to just juxtapose that to the millions and billions that we have been able to give away to the wealthiest in our state. I want to juxtapose that to the millions that our governor thinks the wealthiest need to be given in terms of the elimination of the estate tax. I want to juxtapose that to just the fact that large multi-billion-dollar corporations like JP Morgan, for example, have received millions upon millions from our state, but our children, we cannot find the funds to help feed. I find that shocking, I find that appalling, and personally, I often share, I was raised in a food unstable home. It is very hard to go to school hungry. It is very hard to send your children to school hungry, and we can fix it. So I laud your efforts, and I frankly ask both sides of the aisle to have a little bit of heart for children who cannot learn, who cannot grow if they're not having a basic need met.
I would just like to take a moment to thank our legislators for being here and to thank Ray Castro for this absolutely enlightening and terrifying and heartbreaking report. I'd just like to say that a state budget is really, it's not just about dollars and cents. It's a moral document, and it shows what we as a community value and prioritize. And for too long in our state budgets, we have not been valuing and prioritizing our children. New Jersey is one of the richest states in the richest country that the world has ever seen. And it's absolutely appalling, it's immoral, and it's just wrong that we have allowed thousands of children to live in abject poverty. Not just poverty, not just not having enough money to be able to make your rent that month, but abject poverty. People make in families where you're making less than $10,000 a year for a family of 3. And what's even worse than this is that we've allowed the problem to get worse. We're getting worse at fixing the problem. And we're getting worse at keeping children out of poverty. There are thousands more children living in deep poverty and abject poverty than there were before the Great Recession. As New Jersey has clawed its way back, we're still lagging behind other states, but as we've clawed our way back, we've left children behind. And all of New Jersey's children, no matter where they're born, who their families are, what color they are, what level of education their families were able to achieve, every single child deserves at least a decent shot at a good life. And we can and we must do better than this. This is embarrassing and appalling, and we have to fix it. New Jersey's elected leaders simply must increase TANF assistance, and they must remove the punitive family cap. It's not fair to blame a child and keep a child hungry because of the choices that their parents made.